When the week feels long and the skies turn gray, the sports bar's warmth makes the worries sway. Chips half-eaten, laughter fades in the air, but we hold on a moment's treasure so rare. We'll laugh through the tears as the night unfolds, creating memories like stories retold. Ooh, oh. Raise your glasses high, let's make a toast to friends and good vibes, that's what we love most. With games on the screen and snacks on the side, at the sports bar we gather, let the fun be our guide. As the jukebox plays, familiar tunes start to play. Each note, a reminder of friends who couldn't stay. The wind's gone cold, but we savor the vibe in the heart of the night, where spirits revive. So here's to the past and the friends we've known. In this funky bar, we'll never be alone. Raise your glasses high, let's make a toast to friends and good vibes, that's what we love most. With games on the screen and snacks on the side, at the sports bar we gather, let the fun be our guide. As the night fades out and the lights grow dim, we'll carry this joy through thick and thin.
Hey, hello. Welcome to the Swivel on the Sports Bar. We got another sports show for you today, and we're going to take it easy, have a good time. So welcome aboard. It's Christmas season, so it's a good time of the year. I definitely like this time of year myself. When I used to work, I always took this time off. So welcome. We're going to talk some sports, and you know what? I'm gonna just keep it light. We're always going to start with this disclaimer. All right, listen, I'm gonna use some content from other creators, all fair use, and so far nobody haven't gotten in trouble yet. So hopefully that'll last. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna talk for football. So we're in the last quarter of the season, and this is where the playoff picture starts. But this past week, there weren't any real key upsets, right? So NTR, right? Nothing to report. I think the parity in the league, I haven't seen any real big upsets this last Sunday, Monday Night Football, Thursday. To me, some of the games were better than others, but I ain't seen no big upsets. So we didn't have to, can't concentrate anything there. Now, if you were a fan of a certain team, maybe you thought you had an upset when your team lost. Okay, so we got Mike Tomlin. So believe it or not, Antonio Brown asked whether he could come back, whether he'll pay for free. So we're going to take a look at what Tomlin, his reaction to that question. So bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and play that real quick. So here's Tomlin reacting to that question. All right. So let's go ahead and play it for a second. It's real short. Wait a minute. Is the sound on? Here's the sound.
Out that he wants to return to the Steelers and he'll play for free. Any thoughts on that? Antonio Brown tweeted out that he wants to return to the Steelers and he'll play for free. Any thoughts on that? No.
Mike Tomlin, that's exactly how I would expect him to react. Mike Tomlin doesn't play. I mean, you know what? He's got this like a touch of arrogance that has always been there. He's been a Steelers coach for so long, and he's the worst he's ever had was a tie season. Never had a losing season. But this year, he's got to look to try to win the Super Bowl again, at least to solidify everything. But he's going to go into the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about it. So, he's a trip, man. The guy's always got some shit to say or not say. He'll just move the way he feels like moving all the time, which is a good thing. So what's next in the football world? I just plucked some things out of here. We have some of the playoff picture. And so I want to go ahead and play a few highlights, a little bit of discussion on the NFL playoff picture. There's a couple of minutes. I'll let some people talk about it because we're getting to that close time of, shuffling for, wild cards and, whoever's the fourth seed down. Those things are going to shuffle between the end of this, depending on how they play out. Of course, if you keep winning, you're in, but there's always some guys fighting a battle to make the playoffs. So we got a couple that I want to show. I think that's it.
NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. Sorry for still sounding a little bit under the weather. We're here to break down the current NFL playoff picture. We begin with the NFC. Lions, Eagles, and Vikings have all secured playoff spots. None of them have locked up their divisions quite yet. In the AFC, the top four teams have locked up their divisions, or top three teams, three of the top four teams. Chiefs, Bills, Texans have all locked up their divisions. Steelers have also locked up a playoff spot. We'll break down the clinching scenarios, the remaining paths, etc., for all the teams still technically alive. But if you haven't already, now is a great time to subscribe. We've got daily videos for you. We'll have CFP game watch parties, plus live NFL shows, NFL Red Zone on Sundays. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. All right, let's go into the NFC, and where we got some drama now at the top of the class is the Lions coming off a quite literally painful loss to the Buffalo Bills, 48-2. They suffered multiple injuries in that game, and my concern is that a very talented Lions team might just be on the wrong side of the luck this year. Now, they have already clinched the 7 seed because they have the same record as Minnesota, and they play to end the year. They can't clinch the division yet. They can lock up the following seeds with what comes next. They get the 6th seed if the Packers lose to the Saints. They get the 6th seed if the Commanders lose to the Eagles. They get the 5 seed if Green Bay and the Commanders both lose, or if they simply beat the Bears this upcoming week. The Eagles now have life for that number 1 seed in the bye, the coveted bye, of course. They beat the Steelers 27-13. They have the Commanders coming up.
Now, he says something. I really have an issue with them making such a big deal of the bye week. Obviously, the football people, think it's a good thing for folks to rest up and shit like that. But if you're on a certain momentum swing, I don't think the bye week really helps you. If your team is like they're on a hairy edge and is winning off of momentum, that extra week is a double-edged sword, if you ask me. It really is. Now, if you win that game, then you're right back. But I think that if you're in the heat of battle, you need to play every week. That's just my thought. So I'm not really that keen on this whole big bye week and how great it is and shit like that. So anyway, so that's just me.
Up this week in a really good football game, then wrap up with the Cowboys and Giants. That is a very easy schedule for Philadelphia. Now they can clinch the 6th seed with a Packers loss. They're not really too worried about that because they lock up the NFC East and at least the number 2 seed in the process with a win over Washington. That is a massive game for both teams as we move down the stretch here in the NFL playoff picture. The Buccaneers now have the number 3 seed thanks to their very impressive win over the Chargers. Liked a lot of what I saw from that game from Tampa. They're on a heater, 4 straight wins, and they play 0 teams above 500 the rest of the way.
Oh.
Their toughest game is probably at Dallas this Sunday night. Then they've got Carolina and New Orleans. Although they are close, there are no clinching scenarios at this time for Tampa Bay. We have a new number 4 seed as well, the Rams. thanks to Seattle's loss. Talk about them in a second. And their win over the Niners, an ugly one on Thursday Night Football. They have the number 4 seed for now. They are 8-6. They go on the road against the Jets, and then 2 critical in-division games versus Arizona and versus Seattle. The Rams control their own destiny right now. The current next-gen stats playoff probability, 54%. The Vikings, they are also in the mix for the number 1 seed. Now, they got a much tougher schedule than some other teams do. They beat the Bears, good job. They got at Seattle, key game, might not have Geno Smith out there, versus Green Bay, at Detroit. A lot riding on these next few games.
If Geno Smith is not back, Seattle's not going to beat Minnesota. That's as simple as that. If they have to go with a substitute and Geno is still hurt, Seattle's going to lose that game. Playing Green Bay and Detroit, depending on what they're playing for, Minnesota might have an uphill battle. But definitely, I think they're going to get that win in Seattle.
For Minnesota, their clinching scenario is beyond the number 7 seed this week. They lock up the 6th seed with a win against Seattle. The 6th seed with a Washington loss against Philadelphia. They're actually probably hoping for an Eagles loss that game to help out the number 1 seed chances. They can also get the 5 seed with a win versus Seattle and a Green Bay loss against New Orleans. Different than the Lions because the Lions have already played Green Bay. Minnesota's got 1 more game left. So it's a 3-team race for the number 1 seed, really, in the NFC. Who gets that number 1 seed? E for the Eagles, L for the Lions, V for the Vikings. Go vote in the comment section of today's show. Green Bay has not yet technically clinched a playoff spot, but they have a greater than 99% chance to do so. And the reason being is the schedule's got the Vikings still, but they can lock it up even before they play against the Saints on Monday Night Football. Now, a win gets them in, locked in no matter what. That's easy. Or they can have the Falcons lose to the Giants, and one of these 2 things happen. Seattle loses to Minnesota, or the Rams lose to the Jets. The Falcons' loss seems a bit unlikely, but the Packers should clinch a playoff spot this weekend. I guess it's a Monday game, so not quite this weekend, but still, you guys know what I mean. All right, the Commanders, they held on in a game they also should have won and lost because that clock should have kept running. Weird home cooking there from the Saints grew up there. Anyway, so they beat the Saints. They got the Eagles, the Falcons in a game that could have massive wild card implications, could clinch a spot that week for the Commanders. And then at Dallas.
I like the way he has the probabilities and all that kind of stuff that he breaks down. Now, he's just talking about the NFC right now. So we're going to keep playing this guy so we can see what he talks about the AFC. I think the AFC is it's a little bit more maybe it's the NFC is a little bit more complicated. AFC is a little bit more straightforward. But still, I like the fact that he kind of breaks down the probabilities, who wins, this and that. Because every week from now to the end of the season, we're going to see some changes in those wild card spots. If you haven't really clinched your division, so from 4 to 7, you're going to see some movement for sure. And then there's a lot of teams still not eliminated in the East. Their probabilities are very, very low. But there's still more than it is in the AFC. I should say in the North, as opposed to in the AFC.
Plus a 78% chance of making the
national.
Now, they can clinch a spot this weekend, which does seem a bit unlikely. They do that by beating the Eagles and the Falcons lose to the Giants, or both the Rams lose to the Jets or the Seahawks lose to the Vikings. So there's a lot of complicated stuff there. 3-step process. Commanders beat the Eagles, Falcons lose to the Giants, and either the Rams lose to the Jets or Seattle loses to Minnesota. Probably too much going on there, but the Commanders control their own destiny. They just got to take care of business down the stretch here. That Falcons game, though, next week, that might be for the 7th seed. Now, today's show is made possible by Game Time and tickets. It's curation. Account today. What time? Rams have the head-to-head win right now over Seattle. Tampa has the better conference record, so that's the tiebreakers there. So Tampa, again, in control right now for that number 3 seed. Let's move here to the other team on the outside looking into the playoff picture beyond just the Seahawks there, the Falcons. Kind of an ugly win over the Raiders, but a win is a win. There's the other team that is still alive with a better than 10% chance here Rams and the Niners. So let me know in the comments section of today's show. Technically speaking, which is the best kind of way to speak, the Niners, Cowboys, and Saints are all alive in the playoffs, and Bengals is at 22%. There's like an 80% chance these are the 7 teams in. That's unheard of at this point in the NFL season, by the way. Let's go to the Chiefs. Now, the Patrick Mahomes high ankle sprain, he's got the Steph Curry ankles, will be okay long term. That's how he is going to raise some question marks for this Chiefs team short term. Texans coming up on Saturday. Steelers, Broncos. They've got at least the number 3 seed right now. They want that bye. Win over Houston would be massive for that, given the fact that they are where they're at with just 1 loss this season. Here are the Chiefs clinching scenarios. They get the number 2 seed with a win over the Texans, or if the Steelers lose versus Baltimore, that's the number 2 seed. The number 1 seed, at minimum, would be locked up with a win and a Buffalo loss versus New England. Their magic number's 2 already, with still 3 games to go. But that seems a little bit unlikely at this point. I don't think Buffalo's going to lose to New England. I think Buffalo will take care of it. Maybe a slight letdown game, but this schedule for the Bills is really kind of unique and also easy. They've got the Patriots twice and the Jets once, and both those teams are not playoff teams. Bills are hot. They've secured at least the number 4 seed. They will get the number 3 seed with a win against the Patriots, and the Texans lose to the Chiefs. I will say, though, they probably don't want to have the Texans lose versus KC because that hurts their number 1 seed hopes. So you're probably just wanting to win and cheering for Houston to keep your number 1 seed hopes up longer term. All right, Pittsburgh coming off a loss against Philadelphia. Boy, they missed George Pickens and his vertical ability. Tough schedule left for Pittsburgh. Baltimore on Saturday, Chiefs week 17, and a Bengals team that's probably going to be out of it by week 18. Now, they have clinched at least the number 7 seed. They clinched the 6th seed with a Chargers loss against the Denver Broncos. But if they simply beat the Ravens, they secure the AFC North and at least the number 4 seed in the process. There are some scenarios which they can get a little bit higher with 3 seeds next week, but they would at least get that home field game and the division. So you got in what is a really good Saturday football game. Steelers, type in PIT. Ravens, type in BAL. With their win of the Dolphins and the Colts losing, the Texans have secured the AFC South and at least the number 4 seed. The seeding stuff in the AFC is mostly going to sort itself out because they all play each other. Chiefs on Saturday, another great football game. We'll see about Mahomes. Ravens in week 17, then against the lowly Titans in week 18. Let's look at the wild card here. And you've got 3 very clear favorites: Baltimore, Denver, and LA. Now, none of those teams have technically clinched a playoff spot yet. It can all change this week, though. The Ravens play the Steelers. They want to win that game, to secure a playoff spot, but also keep their division dreams alive. Houston and Cleveland round out their schedule, by the way. Here is how they clinched at least the 7 seed. Now, number 1 is just win versus Pittsburgh. Or if the Colts lose and the Dolphins lose, the Ravens secure the number 7 seed. It's not the most outlandish scenario. They can still clinch a playoff spot with a loss against Pittsburgh. Now, they get at least the 6th seed if they beat the Steelers and the Chargers lose to the Broncos. Because, again, all these teams play each other down the stretch for seeding purposes. Let's talk about Denver then. They play the Chargers Thursday night football. Good football game there, by the way. Then they go on the road at Cincinnati and then host the Chiefs to wrap up the season. It's not an easy schedule, but they've got a sizable lead. They've played well, and they got a 91% win probability. Again, they can clinch their playoffs with the following. They beat the Chargers. That's it. Or the other 3 teams that are still alive in the AFC wildcard race, the Bengals, Colts, and Dolphins, they all lose. That's it. Let's go to the Chargers. They had a kind of a bad performance against Tampa. They dropped down. They're now the 7th seed in the wildcard race. They're sitting there, at 8-6. Denver, but then 2 very easy games down. That's why the playoff probability was starting. If they lose against Denver, it's the Patriots and Raiders, 2 of the worst teams in football. Here's how they clinch a playoff spot. They beat the Broncos, the Colts lose against the Titans, and the Dolphins lose to the
They just need to beat the Broncos. Now the Broncos are not going to be a pushover, but that's all. That's really what they have to do is beat the Broncos. All these teams that need to clinch, they just need to clinch to get in. They can't rely on somebody else losing or winning.
The 49ers. So there is a scenario in which all the AFC teams clinch this week. Probably not going to happen. That scenario does exist. The 3 teams that are still alive, by the way, if Indy hadn't collapsed down the stretch and totally blown that game against Denver, their win probability would have been like, or the playoff probability would have been like 60%. Because their schedule's so easy. But now they're several games behind with 3 to go, and it's just probably going to be too much. Colts at 10%, Dolphins 7%, Bengals, I'm saying there's a chance at 5%. But your path is Chargers collapse for these 3 teams. Everyone else is eliminated. No one else has a chance, and I think there's a chance that this list.
All right, so we want to stop that right there. So that's the bottom line. So I wanted to play that out because, hey, listen, it's nice to go over, hear somebody go through the analysis for once. And we're going to have some more next week and the week after the end of the season. But the truth of the matter is, hey, listen, this is a good time for football. And we got Saturday games and all that kind of stuff. So if you like football, this is the time of the year. Plus, you're going to be relaxed. You got some brew. You got some good food, wings, and all that kind of good stuff because it's holiday season. You're not thinking about work. It's just football. Just football, which is a good thing. So I'm happy about that. So let's see what's next on the docket. All right, what is next on the docket? All right, so here's some games that I picked out that I think will be good to watch. For me, I got the Red Zone channel, so I see pretty much everything. I mean, am I sharing this? I think I am. Yeah, I'm sharing it. Let me kind of blow that up a little bit. Yeah, so I think the Broncos-Chargers game should be pretty good. It's in the conference. The Steelers and the Ravens, definitely it's going to – hey, listen, that's a battle for first place. The Ravens have to win that game. But, of course, both teams have already clinched a playoff spot. So the Eagles and the Commanders, I think the Commanders have to win. The Commanders have to come with their A game. The Eagles are not playing, but the Commanders have to win that game. The Vikings and Seahawks, well, I think without Geno Smith, I think the Seahawks are in trouble. And then the Bucks and the Cowboys. The only reason why I put that up is because the Bucks need to win so they could actually solidify their place in the playoffs. And I think that a loss will definitely eliminate the Cowboys once and for all. So that's what that is. So what's next? All right, so here's here's the playoff picture. We just talked about that, so we don't have to dwell on that. College football is coming up. So the playoffs for college football is here as well. We'll talk about that in a second. So here's the, and listen, I'm so out of tune with college football, so they have a whole big playoff schedule. And so this is it. Hopefully they'll update these brackets every week and we could talk about the brackets. So let me go ahead and get to the talk about some of this stuff. I think I have something to show that can get into some of the details. And I'm going to play this a little bit, so just bear with me. We're going to I can't get past
The bus is
that.
leaving in 5 minutes.
All right, fine. I'll be on in a second.
You scared the gigabytes out of me.
I scared you.
The future isn't scary. Not investing in it is. 100 innovative companies, one ETF.
I think I might have oiled myself.
Before investing, carefully read and consider fund investment objectives, risk, returns, expenses, and more in prospectus at investments.com.
The first ever 12-team college football playoff bracket is here, and we have quite the field to break down. I'm Marissa Flores from NCAA Digital, joined by Stan Beckton. Stan, the regular season and conference championship games gave us plenty of drama, but now we know who's in and who's out, so let's get into it. First, we have to talk about the biggest storylines coming out of this reveal. Alabama is out for the first time in this new format. How big of a deal is this, though, for the Tide and for college football?
I think it's a huge deal for Alabama. They missed out on the playoff, even though they had better wins. So that's going to be something that, as this 12-team playoff continues in future years, they're going to just continue to think about it. Well, if we lose these games, it doesn't really matter who we beat because we have more losses. So that's something that's going to really hold weight, I think, as the rest of this bracket goes, because this was the first one. So now they have a template to go off of, and teams know what to look for throughout the regular season.
And how about SMU, the Mustangs?
All right, so let me stop for a second here. First of all, I have to admit, I had no idea that they switched to 12 teams this year. I mean, I must have been asleep at the switch. Even though I was keeping the first 10 teams, I should have kept the first 12 as a stat. But I wanted to stop this because I think she's got cute eyebrows. I do. Her eyebrows are cute. So I'd give her a good score for those.
Mustangs made it to the title game only on a last-second field goal in that ACC title game, of course. So what do you think about SMU?
I think that's great for SMU to be able to hold on to that last spot in the playoff as an at-large team, especially considering that they're not being penalized for losing their conference championship game.
Okay, so listen, when I first clicked on this picture, I thought the guy was reaching from a man's sack. I mean, I said, I had to take a double take. I don't know about you guys, but I said, what the hell is he reaching for? I said, anyway, man, you know what? It's Wednesday.
Which was a big discussion all week long. What would happen if they were to lose that game? And I think because they lost on the last second, they made it in. I think if you would have asked the committee to rank this team after the third quarter, they might be out. But since it's 4 quarters of football and they fought back hard, I think they earned their spot.
What's up, Coach Ferg?
Absolutely. SMU was a big conversation starter, but we can't forget about Clemson, the ACC champs, of course. They had a tough regular season, but they punched their ticket finally. Does this prove that conference championships still carry weight?
It does prove that, and I love it because it shows that no matter how your season goes, if you can make it to that conference championship game, you'll still have a chance. And I think that keeps the regular season interesting throughout the entirety, especially as these playoffs get longer from that 4 teams to 12 teams. There's more games, but now the regular season still matters because you have to win your games to get to that conference championship game because anything can happen, as Clemson just proved.
Of course, and we saw how that bracket played out. Now let's move on to the bracket. We can start with the top 4 conference champs who earned those, coveted buys. Number 1, Oregon. They're the only unbeaten team in the field, and Big Ten champs, of course. They've been dominant all season, but they might have drawn the toughest path. Number 2, Georgia. They're SEC champs after an overtime win over Texas. Number 3, Boise State made it. And finally, number 4, Arizona State. They're the Big 12 champs and our surprise story of the season, of course. So do you think these teams that secured the coveted buys, do you think any of them have an easy path to the title game? And if so, which one?
Yeah, I would look at a team like a Georgia and Georgia's path to the title game. I know they would have to face the winner of Indiana or Notre Dame, but Georgia has really shown itself in those big games to really step up to the plate. You look at how they played Texas both of those times, and I think Texas is probably in the committee.
Let me stop it for a second. Hey, Coach Ferg, how you doing? Can you hear me? Oh, you were there for a second. Then you cut out. Oh man! All right, so let me go.
I think so as well with these rankings that Texas is a better team than Notre Dame, and they beat them twice. So I think that could be an interesting matchup. And then another one that could get kind of interesting for another team is a Boise State, because if Boise State gets an SMU or Penn State, and of course Penn State is a top 10 team, but Penn State also hasn't beat a ranked team in the top 10 yet.
So,
this
Coach,
season.
you hear me?
That could play well into Boise State's favor because Boise State.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. Have you been watching some of this? I'm just going through the college rank up. I didn't even listen.
Yeah, I've been watching.
Yeah, so so he's talking about right now who's the easiest path to the actually championship. But I didn't, to tell you the truth, I got to admit, I didn't know they went to 12 teams.
Yeah, that's the big thing all year, I paying, man. All year, all season long.
Yeah, I missed the memo. I mean, I was keeping the top 10, but I missed the memo that they actually went to a 12-team playoff.
Yeah, it's 12 teams, man. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Last thing I heard was he was speaking of conference champions.
Yeah.
The thing with the conference champions, you can't lose no more than 2 games for real, because most conference champions win most of the games. Maybe lose 2 at max. So you're gonna have to.
But it's going to be this kind of makes it, because I was a stickler for just the top 4 teams, and I didn't really care. But now that they did expand it, I can get with this expansion. I think that might make it more. I know it's a money thing, of course, but still, it could be interesting too.
Has played an Oregon team and lost, so they're on an even playing field in a little bit, depending how you look at it.
And that loss to Oregon from Boise State, it wasn't drastic either. It was pretty close. Let's talk about those first round matchups, though, that are all being hosted on campuses. Number 5 seed Texas, they're hosting number 12 Clemson in a classic big name battle for their first ever meeting. And number 6 Penn State, they're hosting number 11 SMU, who barely made the field after that heartbreaker. And they'll get their chance, of course, in Happy Valley now. Number 7, Notre Dame, though, they're hosting number 10, Indiana. And finally, number 8, Ohio State, hosting number 9, Tennessee. So the winner of that game, though, they're facing Oregon in the Rose Bowl, of course. But which first-round game do you think has the most potential for an upset?
Clemson over Texas. I think Clemson, they have a lot of momentum right now. Even though they lost to South Carolina, that game was only a 3-point loss. But Clemson, they just have a lot of momentum after that game-winning goal. They feel like the season is going on for them, and it's their year. All of the stars are aligning for them. And then they play a Texas team that faces a Quinn Ewers and an Arch Manning battle that still goes on, and fans are still wondering who's going to play. There's still, anytime Quinn Ewers messes up.
Hey, Coach, have you ever seen Arch Manning play?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of games,
Yeah, how does
don't want to let him. He's pretty good. He's typical quarterback. They trying to use his name to put him in there, but Ewers, as you can see, has always played consistent, except when he got hurt. So
okay, what kind of arm does he got? Yeah, I haven't seen him play.
He has a good arm. He's young though, so I think a couple of years, next season and the year after, it should solidify his spot in the NFL. Okay. But right now they're going off the name, Manning, all of that quarterbacks. So.
Well, let me ask you a question about that, right? I know a lot of times we say, man, people got to earn their keep, but if there's a family name that deserves the benefit of the doubt, it's got to be the Manning.
Yeah, you can say that.
I swear, it's got to be the Mannings, man. They haven't had a lemon. They haven't had a lemon because Archie Manning, he would have been a great quarterback on a good team.
Yeah, I mean, the kid is good. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So he just I think he went to the wrong school.
Oh, okay. He said they have a quarterback-oriented team. He should have went to a more passing-oriented team.
No, he should have went to a team where they didn't have a solidified starting quarterback.
Ah, okay. All right.
See, he's solidified himself as the starter. You go somewhere where you can come in and play immediately.
Right.
But he chose Texas, so now he got to sit and wait. It's part of football.
Well, okay, so now, but was he a freshman this year or a sophomore? He was a sophomore, right?
I think he was a freshman.
Well, he was a freshman. Oh, well, that makes sense, though. I mean, so next year, if he's coming back, right? So next year he'll be the starter, probably.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what you do. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you got a son. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the state. He's being recruited by the Power Five. What school? Of course, it's up to him. But when you lay it out, you say, do you want to play this year, your freshman year, or do you want to play after that? And then you see what school has a spot open that you can step in.
Okay.
And take your lumps with. That's how I see it. I wouldn't be like,
I hear you. I hear you.
That's still a discussion that goes.
I mean, we get the picture here. I'm gonna stop it here again. I said something earlier before you came. I like her eyebrows, man. What do you think about my girl's eyebrows, man?
I pay, man. Stop. You find anything that you can comment on. Anything.
Oh man, you know what, man? That's the way it's supposed to be.
Hey man. Hey, I sent you an email back, Arpane. Check that email out.
Okay. Yeah, all right. I didn't see that.
If you like those eyebrows, you check that email out.
Okay, I'll definitely do
it ain't nothing provocative or nothing.
No, I know you ain't gonna say no crazy shit, man. But I'll check it out.
I know you would like it though when you see it.
Oh man! All right, so listen, man, we get the playoff picture. I'm gonna let this one go.
They've already faced the Georgia team, so they have a common opponent. Easy for them to watch to see how both teams match up to each team. So I think that would be a game I would look at for an upset the most.
You mentioned Arch Manning, and he certainly still has a chance to make potential in this bracket. But speaking of the bracket, let's look ahead to these paths and what that national, official championship may look like. Oregon may be the top seed, but they could face Ohio State again, as we saw in the quarterfinals, and possibly Georgia or Boise State in the semis. Does this kind of feel like the group of, madness or death for the Ducks?
It does. I mean, that's
no. They gotta, if they're gonna be champions, they gotta win out, man. We can't. It's no country for old men. If you're gonna be the best, you gotta beat the best. Well, we stop that anyway. So let's go back to moving on a little bit. So here's the schedule. Friday, Indiana plays Notre Dame. So we're right on top of it, right? So we're starting this series. So that's on Friday. Saturday, we got these 3 games set up. So if you're a college football fan, it's going to be a good weekend.
Yeah. If you're a football fan,
period. I was going to say that because we got the Ravens and the Steelers. Also, oh man, you're going to have a couple of TVs running. You're going to have a couple of TVs running. So it depends.
That's why I like YouTube TV. I like YouTube TV.
Okay.
Because YouTube TV allows you to watch up to 4 games, without a subscription. You just pay for the YouTube service, and that's it.
So they'll give you what, the split screens, or you just
they give you 4 split screens. You can set it up how you want. You can choose the games you want. You can make it 2 games. You can make it 4 games.
Oh, that's good. All right. So after that, so now we're talking about the quarterfinals. So these are the only things that's scheduled right now. So of course, Boise State will play the winner of Penn State and SMU and so forth and so on. So so every week that college football is going to be right there competing with the NFL.
Yeah, for the next month.
For the next month for sure. So that's something else. And some of these games, the matchups are pretty exciting. So I can see people being glued to the television. All right, so let's move on to basketball. I got a few things here. Now we know I always play these top 10, man, just so we could see some highlights. So this was I guess a couple of days ago. Of course, yesterday they had the championship game. So actually maybe we could skip the highlights because we know what the highlights look like, unless you want to see them. But the championship. Say what?
I said that's up to you. Highlight. Think about the highlights I painted. It shows you the clip of the actual highlight. So highlights.
Yeah, I mean, I might go back to. I should have put this chart first. Anyway, so we know the Bucks won the championship for the Cup, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But it was a decent game until the end. Then they kind of blew the boys out. So let me go to the highlights. I'm gonna go ahead and hit because it's short. It's only a couple of minutes. You know, let me go to the highlights. I'll find them. If I can find them. It's playoffs. There it is.
Time now for NBA.com's top 10 plays. Number 10, Paul George knocks down a three-pointer, passing Jason Terry on the NBA's all-time three-pointer list for 10th position. Number 9, Ben Simmons finds Cam Johnson in the corner with a no-look dime. Number 8, LaMelo Ball drives left and finds Mark Williams with a nice wraparound pass.
Hey, LaMelo Ball is pretty damn good, man.
Welcome back, LaMelo Ball. Number 7, Nikola Jokic lobs it up to Aaron Gordon for a reverse jam. Aaron Gordon with two hands. Number 6, on the fast break, Lonzo Ball throws the alley-oop to Talen Horton-Tucker.
Lonzo, he's back
THT with the reverse. Number 5, RJ Barrett gets approval on the slam from Santa in Toronto.
What happened to the defense?
Number 4, Tyler Hero forces overtime with this three-pointer. Tyler Hero splash. Number 3, Donovan Mitchell splits the defender and rocks the rim with a tomahawk. Number 2, Zubac throws it down all over Larry Markkanen. And the number 1 play, Jamal Murray buries the 17-footer and calls game in Sacramento.
Yeah, all right.
She is an equal opportunity lover. She does not
Oh,
discriminate.
Jesus Christ, what is this? That's funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, so that we're gonna hit upon some of that ourselves a little bit later.
Of course.
That. Of course, right? So what is next? All right, we got some standings coming up. I gotta just share it.
I mean, that little top 10, you can tell sometime when when the NBA sort of plateaus a little bit.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, so and we'll talk about that later too. But here's the schedule going forward. Now that the NBA Cup is done, the regular season's back. So I think the Knicks. Damn, man, let me see. The Knicks is still up in third place. I mean, Stephen A is thinking they're slipping, but they're still in third place, so you got to chill out. But other than that, schedule is the schedule. Now, this is where the NBA, I think now, between now and Christmas Day and New Year's, it's going to kind of be in oblivion, man, because they're going to be overshadowed by both college and pro football.
Pretty much.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Because now the mundane is going to just slip back in. Their ratings are bad, man. The rating, it's not a joke. I just think some of their marketing of the teams and stuff is kind of lacking. I don't know whether they're going to try to blame it on, or the commissioner is going to get blamed for a lot of it. But I think the league is woke, and there's a big push against woke shit now, right? So political issues and social issues, I think that the players need to just keep their mouths shut, and just play basketball, because nobody wants to hear none of that, real ultra liberal bullshit no more.
I mean, as far as the NBA and like I guess just going with the rankings and conference leaders, if you notice, looking down the list, you don't see that team really just running away no more. Teams are sort of,
So you think parity is bad? Parity is bad for the NBA?
No, it's great for the NBA. That means you're going to do more competitive games.
Okay, so all right.
So anytime in sports, when teams are close in wins and losses, that means there's more competitive games. People are not,
So what's their problem though? What's the problem? Is it regionalism? Like for example, how many people countrywide gives a hell what the Grizzlies are doing?
It doesn't matter. I pay. You got think NBA is $1 trillion business.
No, I'm with you, but I'm asking you like baseball, right? You got a favorite team? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have favorite teams, right?
Yeah.
So if their team, like let's just say the biggest one, the Yankees. Well, the Yankees and the Dodgers don't count because they'll have fans across the whole country. But if you're an obscure team, well, let's just we keep it in the NBA. I mean, if you're like the Hawks, are there really that many people in California and the northern, USA that gives a crap what the Hawks do?
It doesn't, but it's still relevant. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't. If they had 3 fans in California, it's still relevant because those teams play their favorite team. And I think the NBA knows, especially this time with the college, I think they understand that. They're going to be overshadowed. That's why you don't see them say anything because they understand that. The NBA is not really after the All-Star break, that's when you see a difference of people starting to pay attention because now wins and losses really matter.
Start mattering.
Yes.
So I agree with you there. So we're really talking about once we get into 2025, we'll start looking more about the NBA. Nothing in the WNBA. Baseball, I'd still have to start from the free agency. I don't know if you were here last week. I don't think so. But I plucked out some free agent signings. Some historic contracts. 15 years, man. 765. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, how many years do you think he's actually going to do in that contract?
He'll probably do 12.
Okay, how old is he?
You can play baseball till you're 40 as long as you can hit that motherfucker.
Okay, no, I'm with you, but how old is he when they gave him this cousin? He's still in his 20s? He's still in his 20s.
He's still in his 20s, early mid-20s, probably 25, 27.
Well, okay, so the big first contract we knew for a whole bunch of years was my man Alex Rodriguez, correct? With the $250 million contract, 10 years. He was one of the first.
Yeah, if I'm going out top of my head, probably so. Just for people recognition.
Let's just start with him. He did 8 years before they he came over to the Yankees and had to renegotiate the last few years, right? Something like that.
Yeah, the Yankees gave him a nice contract too.
Right. So what I'm just trying to say is that these guys, I mean, they know that these contracts ain't gonna be played out. At some point, they're gonna have to renegotiate. And I don't think the guy's skill level is at that big level, especially these contracts are heavily laden, paying them later on in the contract, right? They kind of elevate. I don't know.
That's the beauty of baseball. Baseball has no salary cap.
Right.
And that's why you see these contracts. But that's the beauty of baseball. You're not getting hit unless you slide. And you're not facing the same pounding on your body. You might pull a shoulder. That's why you see the pitches and somebody twisting the ankle trying to slide in the base. But see, people think football is America's sport. Baseball is America's sport.
No argument. I mean, obviously, man, if once you break in and you start getting these contracts and it's guaranteed and all that kind of stuff, man, forget it. Oof. So you're right. So hockey has its schedule. I still haven't watched a hockey game. Maybe I owe it to the sports fans to at least watch a game. Maybe I'll pick the Devils against the Rangers one of these days. Okay. And so Big Three is off. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the thing anyway. Stephen A. Smith, I can't play this thing because they flagged me the last time when I played the ESPN first take. They say, copyright, blah, blah, blah. You blocked. Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes just play the audio.
Yeah, I got to do that. I know. I got to do that because the audio was funny on this one. I just have to make sure I get it set up right so I can play the audio. You're right. The funny thing here is that he didn't do the top 5 teams. He did his top 5 fears, and this was pretty funny. He said his fifth is Molly being in a debate. That's one of his biggest fears, having Molly in a debate, and he's the moderator. I think that she was pretty funny. So she's sitting down there with her pretty self, and looking like, "Oh man, what do you mean? I can't see why you don't want to hear me speak." That shit was pretty funny. He says he couldn't stand if LeBron won a 5th chip because he'd have to argue with Shannon Sharp, who's a big LeBron fan. Yeah, of course, he thinks the New York Knicks are falling apart. They're in 3rd place. What are you talking about? They're in 3rd place. Then he said he lost his sexy, right? Because when he gained that weight, he said I had to bring my sexy back. Everybody's laughing at his ass. So he got to the gym, and of course, his Cowboys. His biggest fear is if they won the Super Bowl. I mean, that was a pretty funny segment. It was Stephen A. Man, he's making all that big money, getting his $20 million a year, man. Shit. As they say, man don't hit their stride till they're 50. He's 57 years old. He's gonna make $20 million a year. Malika Andrews. I got a tape, man. You know what? She's finally getting her come up, right? It really drew to a head. Like black men they can't stand her. And I think that her show, the ratings on her shows probably show how much black men in general really can't stand Malika Andrews. And I really, in my opinion, she does have a unhealthy disdain and contempt for black men. And of course, I guess it hit a peak because she married the white boy. But I think it was already there, but anytime she gets a chance, she says something derogatory and nasty about black men. I don't know. Have you ever, in your opinion, have you felt that or seen that from your point of view?
I mean, yeah, it's not just her, but I look at
she's the queen of it, man.
Yeah, but when I listen to people like her and anybody, male or female, that sort of come down, and sort of analyze what we do, and we can do the exact same thing as a white guy and sort of just shred us apart. I always look, it's the ideology of who they listening to also. It's not just her coming on the show speaking out of her own thoughts. That she's just put in as the face to say it out loud. But, me and you both are married, and I think I believe that if my wife is a sportscaster or whatever, and it comes to certain things about sports and people in general within the sport, I believe we're going to have those discussions, and she's going to just go off of some of my ideology too. So,
yeah. Hey, what's going on, champ, man? I know I sent you the link, so if you wanted to come up, you can. I just put it in there just in case, man. You might be listening from the crowd. Champ is in the chat. What's happening? I just happened to just start to look over there, but I got some audio I want to play of her on the subject with her. A couple of people talking about. Like I said, 9 minutes. I'm not going to play all 9 minutes of it, but there's some shit that some people want to talk about our girl. if I could find it, because it's all here. It is.
Said the NBA stood for nothing but Africans. When he uttered that remark, the NBA was 86% African American. As of 2023, that demographic has shrunk to 73%. Isn't it ironic that a league that is still overwhelmingly African American has ownership and a commissioner that does not represent the majority of its players? Another irony is one of ESPN's most enigmatic and controversial personalities is a black woman who has made some pretty interesting statements about black men, and she covers the NBA. Malika Andrews has a rare, obscene, public, and clinical contempt of African American men. Malika Andrews covering the NBA is like a sexist man being a panel member on The View. It's overwhelming. A very brief check of her history will confirm why Malika Andrews is one of the most hated NBA analysts. Malika Andrews, journalist for the ESPN network, has been a focal point of a lot of hate in the last couple of years. What usually happens between players and experts has now become a battle between two top media figures that associate with the NBA. But the journalist has been caught up in a controversy in the past as well. Back in 2019, Giannis Antetokounmpo was blatant about his feelings towards Andrews after an article she had written about him. Her piece speculated that the Greek freak will leave the Milwaukee Bucks if they do not make improvements to the team.
Malika Andrews, ESPN. For both of you guys, I'm curious, you guys have talked a lot about how at this point, sometimes it takes experience. I'm wondering if now that you have some of that experience, if you see more validity to that point or what you think about that now that you've gone through it.
This article was fresh when the Bucks lost to the 2019 champions Toronto Raptors. During the press conference, Giannis was asked a question by Malika Andrews on experience. He simply did not bother to answer, got up, and walked out of the room, leaving Chris Middleton confused. Now, the issue that got her in deep water was when she called out analyst Stephen A. Smith for voicing his opinion on the Boston Celtics publicizing Ime Udoka's scandal. The journalist clapped back on live broadcast saying, "Stephen A., with all due respect, this is not about pointing the finger. Stop." What became apparent to me in this press conference is that we do not have all the information here.
Let me be very clear. I don't appreciate where you're going with that. I'm not blaming anybody but Ime Udoka. He deserves, the fact of the matter is, I've said he deserved to be fired if they were going to fire him. If you're not going to fire him, then don't fire him. My issue is all of this being publicized. The point that I'm trying to make is just like you're not mentioning. Excuse me. I listened to you. You're the one telling me to stop on my show. It ain't happening.
Smith went on to reiterate his prior points, specifically bemoaning the Celtics publicizing the story. After going neck and neck against each other for several years, Chris Paul and Stephen Curry are now teammates. Had such a scenario even been suggested in the past, it would have been termed nonsensical. The NBA business is certainly full of surprises and brutal at the same time. But by highlighting some moments of the epic battles Steph and Paul shared, while interviewing him on ESPN after the trade, host Malika Andrews found herself on the receiving end. During an interview with Chris Paul on ESPN, Andrews asked him about being teammates with Steph. To the fans, everything was great about the interview, except the video that the channel decided to air while having Paul on the channel. The video showed Curry breaking Paul's ankles and making him fall to the ground. Perhaps the blatant disrespect towards CP3 didn't sit well with the fans, and they slammed Malika Andrews for lowlighting the point guard. She was the subject of some social media backlash after she asked NBA Commissioner Adam Silver about the Ja Morant gun flashing video, which led to the Memphis Grizzlies star latest suspension later on. Silver appeared on ESPN as the San Antonio Spurs were.
All right, so we got the message, man. Malika, though, she hates black men for some reason. I don't know whether she had a bad boyfriend or whatever, but she doesn't hesitate to come out. And this whole notion about ESPN putting women in the champion seat, for male sports, it's just all bullshit. I don't know if it really helps the ratings at all. And the reason why I say that is because the biggest rating show in basketball is the TNT panel, and that's all men. And the biggest rating show in football is also a football panel with all men. You don't necessarily have to have eye candy to have a good panel, right? Because men are the ones who primarily watch sports. And even if women watch it, they don't mind watching men do sports. This whole DEI thing is really just part of Disney's stick. That's my opinion. What's your opinion on Malika? I mean, you said a little bit of it.
I mean, again, she's going to be placed as the face of the ridicule for us. That's what they're going to do. And you don't see Molly coming down critically. You don't see anybody else doing it. So I think it's all part of the plan. I do.
No, I do. It's all part of the strategy. Man, remember now, ESPN is owned by Disney, and Disney is on this kick, this kind of DEI kick or this woman king kick kind of shit anyway. And that's why the ratings are and their money flow has been going down since they destroyed the MCU.
Come on. Yeah, and it's been, you heard a lot of rhetoric prior to the election. Now, since the election, you don't really hear too much. People are sort of closed-lipped now.
Well, of course. And not only that, but everybody knows, even the people who don't never want to admit it, that we dodged a tremendous bullet. I couldn't imagine Kamala Harris being president.
No, they know it.
Yes. Oh, my God.
The world knows it.
The world knows it. Everybody knows it. Holy smokes. And the insufferable women on the left, especially, I have to say, especially black women who are ultra liberal when it comes to, just stupid debaucherous shit. I just can't get my hand around it, especially on the way they behaved after the election was over. I can't imagine how insufferable they would have been with a woman that would have won. Oh my God, it's just been crazy. Anyway, so Clarissa Shields. It's funny. I followed her in 2012 because that year the men's boxing sucked in the Olympics. They didn't win anything, and so I followed her. I think this was like one of the highlights of female boxing in the Olympics. And when she won the gold medal, I followed her. Boy, she got so much work done on herself. Boy, she was really just, she was rough as hell back there, man. She's still rough looking too, but she kind of grew into a little bit of a appeal. But then she came back in 2016, so she's been pretty much in the spotlight for a lot of years, man.
Yeah,
whatever endorsements and stuff, and she's a pretty decent boxer on the pro level. Unfortunately, her and Layla Ali crossed paths at a different age. That would have been a nice matchup. So she got a movie coming out on Christmas Day. I said 2012. It's 2014. It's 2024. So Christmas Day, she has a movie coming out. And I don't know who her publicist was or whoever's promoting. They put it in the movie theaters. This shit should have went straight to streaming. It should have been on Netflix or something like that. Because I don't see no big crowds actually going to see a movie in the movie theaters. Oh, you're breaking up. I can't hear you.
I said you don't see it.
No, I mean, no. I mean, listen. She's got to be kind of a niche kind of thing. First, it's got to be boxing fans, right? And then, of course, I don't see a whole lot of men saying, okay, I want to go see Clarissa Shields' movie about her life. It could have been a Lifetime show on a Lifetime network, right? If you want to bump it up, Netflix or Max, but straight to streaming. So what do you think? You think that a lot of people are going to go see her movie?
Boxing enthusiasts will, and you'll tell by the first weekend how it's going to pan out over the next month or so.
Christmas Day?
Yeah. People look for that. You know, I think when it comes to movies, I don't think about us. We ain't going to the movies like that. You know, white folks will go. Boxing enthusiasts.
Well, you know, I'm not wishing anything bad on it. It'd be nice if it's some kind of. I mean, I think her story would be interesting. I mean, I definitely, if it was on Netflix, I would definitely watch it. Or if it one of the streaming channels, Prime, whatever it is, I would watch it. And me and the wife would sit down and watch a story. Because, like I said, I saw her come out of nowhere in 2012. And I know she's from Flint. And I know it was a hardship story for her to become a boxer and then win gold because she was the only American in boxing who won a gold that year.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think in 2000, well, in boxing, not pretty much, yes. Nobody else even came close. I think in 2016, the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Okay. I'm great. Step away, man. I'll check you out later, man.
I appreciate it, man.
No
Thanks
problem,
a lot.
man.
Thanks for
Great
chiming
shit,
in. All right, man. This is probably my last chart anyway, man. We'll see you over there. I might pop in.
I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna be on.
Yep, later. All right, so that's Clarissa Shields. What's next? I think we come pretty much to the end of the. Oh yeah, this one. I want to play this one. Everybody's talking about Travis Hunter saga with his girlfriend. She's like 2 or 3 years old. Everybody say they were high school sweethearts, but they weren't. She was already in college, and she reached down and actually she moved him into her place while he was still in high school. Now, from what I understand, she might have a little bit of money from her family on her own. I haven't done that much digging, but she already had a place. So he did the first failure of his young dating career is moving into a woman's house. So he did that. And she actually has rules for the brother, right? She has like 3 or 4 or 5 rules that he must follow to be with her. Now, they did a video on it. So you guys go around, check on that shit. So the way she behaves, not only do men think she's the wrong person for this brother, there's women coming out saying, "Oh my God, you know what? She doesn't respect his accomplishments at all if they don't include her." And so she thought she would make it better by coming out and saying her piece. And I don't know. Like I said, I had a comment on somebody's channel. I said, "Listen, you know what?" I said, "You never watch any cop shows, right? Because if she did, she would know that you have the right to remain silent." You know what I'm saying? You got the right to remain silent. You know, she came out and said her little piece. I'm gonna play some of it, and you know, they're both young. I guess. I mean, she's about around 24 or something like that, and he's like 21 or some young age, maybe a little younger. And of course, whether he had girlfriends or not, we had this discussion last night on flipping tables. I think, and I got to give Angry Man credit for this. I saw his channel because a lot of people are covering this stuff. And he says that black men who are not really select black men, you know, guys who look like my man Travis Hunter, who's, you know, probably just an average looking dude, probably he should stay away from racially ambiguous women. He said that racially ambiguous women and dark black men never work out. You know, he said just go through the history. Now, of course, some have, but for the most part, these girls would, if he wasn't who he was, she wouldn't give him the time of day, and everybody knows it. And everybody knows it. You know, so, and now, you know, she comes out and she says her piece. I'm gonna play it. It's just crazy. I'm gonna play some of her stuff, what she said, and then I'm gonna play a little bit of what he said in defense of his woman, which I can't really blame him because, you know, men are gonna defend their girl, but for heaven's sakes, man. Then I have a question after that. Not here, but I'll wait for that. Too bad Ferg had to leave. I wasted some time on some other stuff, but it'd be nice to have a muse on that one. Or the question that I have. Okay, let me. Not that. Not that. Let me work it out. All right, there you go.
Stuff online because I'm tired emotionally and mentally of seeing people try to make me out to be a person that I am not. But with a testimony without a test of faith. So I'm going to start from the very beginning with this my type thing. I got permission from Travis to say these things because these are previously things I didn't want online. But I'm going to tell y'all the full story just so y'all know.
Well, first, nobody believes she got permission from Travis to say that. She just did this on her own. I just don't believe her. She might be talking about it, but I don't believe she asked him. I think she just went out and just did this because there's nothing good that could come of this conversation she's going to have right now.
So Travis, when he first ever DM'd me, when we first met, I said I left him in my DM for 2 months, and people said, "Oh, she left him in his DM until she figured out who he was." That is not true at all. The real reason Travis sat in my DM for 2 months is because he DM'd me when he had a girlfriend, and her name was in his bio, so I instantly knew he had a partner. So I exited. I don't care about what people look like or what they can give me. I date people for who they are as a person, how they honor God, and how they treat the people around them. And Travis is all the above. So when I said he wasn't my type, I meant because he was younger than me. I had never dated no one younger than me. And he had cheated on his girlfriend. I don't know if your type is cheaters, but mine isn't. So no, he wasn't my type at first off of those two things. But that didn't discredit the fact that I was attracted to him. That's obviously why I gave him a chance. And then I learned he truly is a phenomenal and wonderful human being. And that's why we're together. And that's why we're still together to this day.
Okay, so you forgave him for being a cheater. Is that what you're saying? All right, so he cheated on his girlfriend, but you don't think he's going to cheat on you. Is that the reason why you have your rules? Right? And you haven't seen anything yet. As soon as he gets to the pros, and you get around some other pros too. So neither one of you guys are going to be safe.
Day, pop-up shop this past weekend. People are saying that I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Just sit here? That's not what I said. First of all, I said, baby, do you want me to sit here or do you want me to go with the family or do you want me to come with you? Because what y'all don't know, again, off of a 7-second clip, is those weren't fans, by the way. He had already finished that part. He had finished meeting with the fans. I was there the entire time, taking pictures, talking to them, everything. The girls that were there, they were the Adidas. They worked for Adidas. So we were.
The 7-second clip that people saw you there pouting and sitting. I mean, people read body language. Your body language put you in this mess from the first time when you gave him some shit after one of his biggest games in his college career. And he comes down and gives you a kiss and you treated him like a piece of shit. And everybody saw it. It doesn't matter what was on your mind. It doesn't matter what was on your mind. People saw how you treated this guy. He is a star of everybody in a stadium except you. Except you. And that started this whole thing. You know, so let's keep.
We're taking pictures for social posts. That's who those people were. I wasn't annoyed with no fans at all. I'm never annoyed with fans. So that's what that was. And then Travis was getting ready to leave. He had to be at a rehearsal for the Heisman ceremony. They had to do walkthroughs and stuff like that. So I was asking him, I was like, do you want me just to sit here? Do you want me to go back to the hotel? Like, do you want me to wait for our family? Because his family was in there shopping. Because Adidas let them go pick out stuff in the stores, like a actual Heisman ceremony. This is making me so mad because anyone who knows me knows I support Travis in every win. Everything he does, because I truly, truly love that man. He is perfect in my eyes. So when his name was called, I instantly was going to, if you watch the video, you can see me like, but his mom didn't get up. So I was like, oh, maybe I don't get up. Maybe I just sit here with her. So I sat there and then And then y'all said Coach Prime had to tell me to get up. No, he didn't. He said, go get him. Go get your man. Like, and once Travis stood up, but he didn't have to do that because I was going to do that anyways. As soon as I seen Travis get up, then I thought it was appropriate.
Oh man, okay, enough. Anybody can go find this anywhere on the internet. She didn't even have to volunteer the fact that she thought he cheated. I mean, I just think that it's his business, and like I said on the show last night, that nobody could talk a man out of a woman that he's smitten with. He happened to be smitten with her, and we could only hope that she's not going to rip his heart out once he signs that contract, once he gets her pregnant. And once we'll be back here in 3 to 5 years talking about how bad he was as a husband and she wasn't getting and she's not happy and all this other horse shit. It's everybody almost, it's like and this is not fair to her, right? Because she's being wrapped into all the hyenas that we see on the internet who say one thing and a few moments later, say a whole bunch of other shit. Is it fair? No. But there's a whole bunch of ladies who are cleaved to a guy who don't get caught on camera acting like he's just a piece of shit here to serve her. You know, and then you're the one with the 5 rules. You guys got to stay off of social media. Get your damn lives off of social media because people are not if you're right, then people are not reading you right. That means you're giving off some kind of impression to the media, to people, both men and women, that is not wholesome. It's not wholesome, right? And then, you know, I think there was like rumors that you were a stripper. There are some rumors, and if that's true, that you actually did dance, you know, that's another red flag for this young guy who's smitten by you, you know, like most, you know, I gotta say, there's one of the biggest flaws of Black men and racially ambiguous women, especially guys who made it, right? Because all before they had any money or any fame, all they had was their left hand or right hand and a racially ambiguous lady. Either they paid for it or they just, you know, used a poster for unseemly things. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, you know, nobody's buying the story. So that's enough for you. And then we'll have Travis doing what a man should do, I guess. You know, we're gonna leave that. We're gonna have what a man does when he's in support of his woman, which I don't think is a bad thing, right? I mean, he has to do that. Where is that at? Somewhere around here. I don't know where it's at. Here it is. Okay, let's share that.
Time. Anyway, here's Travis Hunter defending his girlfriend from attack.
You ain't never had no girl. So why y'all talking about me? Find something else to talk about. You talk about my girl. Go talk about your girl. Go find a girl. Go find a life. Stop worrying about what I got going on. I know what I got. I know my girl. My girl been with me for 5 years. Y'all are just not starting to talk about me and just not starting to be with me. Like, come on, man. Y'all go do something else with y'all life. Clickbait pages, y'all better stop. I'm telling y'all. Y'all, if something bad gonna happen to y'all, y'all keep doing that. Y'all better stop that. I ain't playing. Y'all better stop. All the clickbaiting pages. Yeah, when we was sitting down and I was at my puppet shop, we was talking about my family. What was they gonna do while I was in there signing stuff? I had all my family there. And that's why she did. That's why she said she's gonna stay there so they can get stuff. That's why she said she's gonna sit there so they can get stuff, have fun there. She wanted to go back they wanted to go back. Some of them want to go back to the hotel, some of them didn't. Y'all trying to make everything, y'all want everything for clicks. Like, stop that. That's crazy. Like, y'all hate on me and then y'all go and hate on my girl. Like, bro, I feel the same pain that she feel. We're inseparable, bro. We with each other. Like, she hurting, of course I'm gonna be hurting. If I'm hurting, of course she gonna be hurting. Like, y'all, come on, bro.
You know what? Okay, listen. I think that there's nothing wrong with the brother trying to defend his girl and her honor. I mean, that's what he was supposed to do. I believe he's sincere. He means it. I just think he has a blind spot, like most men have, young guys have for their girls. I mean, it happens to the best of us. And maybe she is, maybe underneath her awkwardness, she's going to be sincere. You can only bless them and say, hey, listen, I hope he doesn't become another casualty of war, like so many men who run into money and stuff like that. So, hey, he's got to live his life. And true to form, with all the people telling him and telling him to, like, man, maybe give it some time, blah blah blah. I'm hard fast on this. You can't talk a man out of the woman he's smitten with. It's just impossible. It's impossible. He's got to go through it, And that's just different levels to it. It's just different levels to it, right? If you're like a little bum, and you'll have no money, the chick, she'll break your heart and you'll have to get over it. But when you run into millions and millions of dollars and you make a mistake with your woman, the results will be catastrophic for you, not for her. Somebody else will be busting that shit down on your dime. It's as simple as that. Anyway, so hopefully it won't come to that for him. I think they need to get the hell off of social media. Like, some people could be couples on social media and make it big, but her attitude and the fact that she has mood swings the way she does it's not gonna bode well for you, brother. Especially when all that attention you're gonna get is gonna be on you and not her. I don't think she's gonna like that. So anyway, man, more power to you. God bless you, bro. Hopefully you have a great career, regardless, one way or the other. And we're going to come back to a question. I have one more slide left, and we'll come back to a question on whether this guy, my bonus questions of the week, I always have, and I have some more comments on that. So let me get back to that. So this is what I'm going to talk about. I got 2 questions here, and I guess I'll answer them myself, and if I can get to the goddamn page. All right. Let me stop sharing this and go back to my questions for the week. All right. All righty, here we go. The first one really is Darvin Ham. He suggested to the Milwaukee Bucks, Doc Rivers, the coach, that that they don't celebrate after winning the NBA Cup, and I agree, because remember now, he won the first NBA Cup with the Lakers last year, but the rest of the years the Lakers were half-assed after the Cup, right? It was like they hit a pinnacle, and then they had a letdown for the rest of the year. So now that Doc Rivers hired him as the coach, assistant coach with Milwaukee, after winning the NBA Cup, he suggested to Doc Rivers, hey, listen, let's make sure we don't have no champagne. We don't act like we did anything, blah, blah, blah. And so they just had a regular celebration on the court for the Cup, but they didn't have no champagne. They didn't do anything for that Cup. So they didn't really over-celebrate for the NBA Cup, in the locker room with champagne and cigars and all that kind of stuff. And I thought that was a good deal. I think that was a good suggestion, and I think that'll help Milwaukee. Now, Giannis is playing some of his best basketball, so that's cool. So can they carry that for the rest of the NBA season? We'll see. We'll see. They're going to have some stiff competition at the top in the East. But hey, listen, Milwaukee's playing pretty good. Dame Lillard has another year under his belt. They're playing tough. I think Middleton is not back to his form the way he was before when they won the chip, but he'll probably get there. I think the duo with Giannis and the twin, it's working out pretty well. So we'll see how that goes. Now, back to the Travis Hunter thing. So there's advice for Travis Hunter. And the question I have is the advice that men are giving him to, don't hook up with this chick or don't marry anybody, play the field, get your pro legs under your belt. Is that any different than older women telling young women to ride the cock carousel in their 20s? Now, and that anatomically is different, right? Because of the way we're structured. But neither one of those suggestions are really that good, right? But we understand that men are going to sow their wild oats. And of course, so just telling him to just play around in his 20s doesn't mean he's going to be better at picking a woman later on, right? We know that his grind is going to be playing football. That's where he's going to make money. And there are examples of young men being married early in football who had great careers and their marriages are still strong. But they made sure they had the right woman ahead of time. So I don't know. It's a mixed bag because I believe that people should get married younger as opposed to older. Because I think getting married older, and especially the older you are, the tougher it is. Everybody gets set in their ways. And a lot of people become uncompromising when they get into their 30s. Anyway, hey, listen, it's been a good show. I just wanted to hear one. Now, next week, I'll probably just do another show. It might be shortened. It's Christmas Day. So if they could have sports on Christmas, I can't use that as an excuse not to do the show, right? I might maybe nobody will show up, but that's fine. I'll just put on an hour or whatever I need to do and, recap some of the things that I've seen, some of the football, both pro and college, and pluck out whatever else is going on, maybe update to see if there's anything new in the Travis saga. I'll try not to get too far off bounds, but, so I'll be looking forward to that. Of course, I think I'm gonna update the boxing thing I have because I believe that the Davis fight is not going to happen as scheduled. I didn't confirm that, but I think it's not really going to be on because I know it's not on because it didn't happen. It was the 14th. It didn't happen. So it was rescheduled. I never checked that. So that's erroneous. But I believe the Tyson Fury fight is still on. And NUA fight is still on as well in December, later on this month. And so I know that the Morrell fight, it says Andre, but it's David Morrell fight is on. And so we'll go from there. So with that, I use a lot of things. So the disclaimer, everything is fair use. And I'll leave you with the outro to the sports show. And I appreciate people popping in the chat and, spending some time. Trey Furry, thanks for coming up. Champ, we'll catch up, man. When I get your notifications, man, I'll pop over there one of these days on your channel, man. See what you got going on. I see some of the lives. I pop in and pop out. So that's that. All right. With that, have a great Wednesday, everybody.
Grab your friends, it's time to play. Join the fun, we're here all day. Watch the game with drinks in hand. On the swivel, let's take a stand. On the edge of our seats, we live for the thrill. In this moment together, we're feeling the chill. So here's to the laughter as we gaze at the stars. We say goodnight from the swivel at the sports bar. In the flicker of the screens where our spirits ignite, let's cherish this time as we fade into light. Tasty bites and big screen thrills. Every moment gives you chills. High fives and cheers, it's quite a sight. Join the crowd, it feels so right. As the game goes on, our hearts beat as one. Memories in the making, oh, this night's just begun. So here's to the laughter as we gaze at the stars. We say goodnight from the swivel at the sports bar. In the flicker of the screens where our spirits unite, let's cherish this time as we fade into light. So good night, my friends, till we meet again in this world of the game, through thick and through thin.